What's up, everybody? You're listening to another episode of the SignatureCAST, where we talk bodybuilding, business, and everything in between. To my right, powerlifting legend, mentor of mine, but most importantly, a great, great friend, Henri Skiba is in the house. How you feeling, brother?
Will, I am ecstatic. Because first of all, coming to this gym, I made the ride, and I come all the way from Carteret. And when I got up here and I looked around again, how much you added on to this community that you have here. This is a gym. You cater, you have powerlifting, you have bodybuilders, you have cardio, you have the whole 9 yards. So I feel totally at home saying that this is one of the best gyms I've seen in Jersey. So listen, people, come on up because this place is well worth visiting.
Appreciate that. We really, really appreciate it. And you know, I've been here for about 4 years working out, and that's my goal. I want to make this the new mecca of fitness in the Northeast, and I think we're slowly getting there, but we're trying to achieve it. But it's not just about Signature Fitness Day. We're talking about Skiba and Skiba's gym. So let's give them a little background about how we met each other. I think it was about 4 years ago, right?
Every bit
4 or 5 years, something like that.
At ABC Day, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Animal. Shout out to Animal. We had an ABC Animal Barbell Club. Came by and I squatted my first ever 700 pounds that day in your gym. I'll never forget it.
I was so happy because one of the few things, man, this is, with real lifters, this is a passion. This is not a business. And when I seen this guy, first of all, he's a mammoth human being, and he is as friendly as you could be. And he got under that bar, and I seen this person transform as an absolute animal. And he got underneath that weight, not just lifted it. Like I said, I'm one of those guys that has goosebumps all the time. He crushed it. And he was as happy as if he won the lottery. Everybody around him, the enthusiasm he created by simply doing that, just bellowed through the gym, and everybody felt it too. And everybody, I had another lady, Melissa Edwards, I think her name is.
Yes, I remember Melissa.
She came there and pulled her first 600-pound deadlift.
That's right.
She pulled her first 600-pound deadlifts, and people were going nuts in the gym. Why? Because what we do is we build enthusiasm when you have a place that has a proper attitude.
That's it.
And that's what I'm telling you about. Here they have it, and that's what's missing from a lot of these
of gyms.
Or whatever the heck they want to call it.
Yeah, no, it's 100% true. But there's one thing I'll never forget about that day, Skeeves, because, you know, I think it was 2 weeks prior, I had done my first ever 675 squat. And I was just like, oh, and then Steph was like, oh, they have this ABC thing. Let's go, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, cool. And I remember, what's his name was there? Grant Higa was there that day.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Grant Higa. Awesome dude.
Love you, Grant.
And I get under the bar, and I get up, and I just go, and all I hear is, hold your air, hold your damn air. And I did that squat with not an ounce of air in my belly. How I stood up, I have no idea. But then you taught me how to brace and all those things.
Then he came back and absolutely annihilated the weight. And that made me happy because what it used to be and what I'm trying to do and what Will's doing here is he's paying it forward and passing it on.
That's it. Yep.
His knowledge, I mean, you look at him. And when I got in his face a little bit and chatted with him because I knew how powerful he was and he should just crush it. So I got in his face like I've seen Louie do a million times, tapped him on the forehead and just told him, do it.
Yeah, that's it.
It's all no BS, no nothing. Get out there. You have this and so much more. It's showtime.
That's it. And then so many meets we've had since then. And I'll make my way back to the platform one day. You know, just taking a little hiatus. But you know, the thing is, sometimes I feel like, you know, we got to let these guys know that there's not just me, you too. I know there's an animal just creeping inside of you.
Oh, yeah,
always.
I can't wait to get on a platform. I kept my squat and my deadlift up, but due to several injuries in the upper body, I'm not where I should be, but guess what? I am not done yet. I'm telling you right here and right now. Whatever it takes to come back, I will come back.
That's it. Even if it's for one final night, it's okay. We're going to make it happen.
Thank you.
That's what it's all about, Skeeves.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you for all the years of support and you know, all the guidance and everything like that, because I definitely wouldn't be the person and the lifter and just the businessman I am today if we hadn't met. But moving on from Signature Fitness, like I said, Skiba's gym. Skiba, how long has Skiba's gym existed, and what year did it open?
Okay, actually, it began in 1972 when I was a youngster.
Okay,
and everybody, because I've always been known for lifting. Even when I was a freshman, I was quite strong as a freshman. And in 1972, I remember going there and starting with several different kids because learned how to deadlift, and I just to show how strong I was back then. I was 148 pounds, a deadlifter 475. All right, I did that, and then what happened? People saying, "Oh, this kid's strong." That and the bench and everything else. I had a following back then, going all the way through Skiba's gym, went all the way. I had a powerhouse gym at one time, and then later on, what happened was, can I'll tell a story about my dad.
Oh yeah, I definitely. That's what we talked about. I'd love to hear about that.
You got to watch me when I tell, because I always tear up. And one of the things with what happened was my mom were both sick at the same time, and I had one in the hospital bed, one in the other hospital bed. So what happened was I had to come. I needed a place to train. So my father gave me money to actually build onto the garage, which turned into a four-car garage that became one of the greatest training places in our area. And with that, what I decided was, as my father passed, I decided he was one of the greatest cops I knew in my life. He was just a great man, just a Zen person before it was popular. And what he did was he used to give stuff back to kids like footballs, basketballs, even some of my weights, and even some of my other stuff. He said, "Henri, you had enough of that. Give it to somebody who really could use it." So as a living tribute, what I did was I decided, listen, I'm never going to turn a kid away from the gym. And I teach kids there, and I said, this is not Skiba's gym after Henri Skiba, it's after Alex Skiba, because when you're a regular guy, they name buildings after if you were rich, or streets or stuff like that. And when you're a regular guy, sometimes as time passes and they forget about you. Well, I was not going to let that happen. I decided that, every time I have a kid in there and they succeed or do something, it rubs back and gives them a bit of a smile.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And the same thing with the gym, too. The second part of the phase, which I started, but I had to stop only because of COVID and stuff like that, was I used to have chairs downstairs because I'm a special ed teacher. And what I started to do was, as a tribute to my mom, I actually was going to have teaching, kids how to read and stuff like that.
Very cool.
So that's the whole crux of it. And I've been blessed because I'm telling you something, man. When you do good things, it comes back tenfold. And I've had people come to my gym like Billy Crawford. You talk about Louie Simmons. You talk about anybody, Dave Tate. You talk about anybody that's been in the business. They visit Skiba's gym. And I've had people when I went out to big gyms and say, you know what, Skeebs? Your place is on my bucket list. I'm saying, listen, I'm just a little tiny place. But because of the attitude and the people we've turned out, Chris Delafat was probably one of the greatest lifters around right now. I think he's 1165 in the squat, close to 9 in the bench, not over 9 in the deadlift. He came from our place, and we've had a lot of other ones.
Oh, 100%. There's been so many. I know you also helped train Constantine out of Georgia.
Yeah, I was going to do that stint. In my towns, we are, a lot of Ukrainian, Russians, Georgians, and they knew about me, and they came, they brought one of the key guys to train me for 2 years, and he's done real well in all the world's strongest man contest. Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, shout out to Constantine Janashia. Yeah, we as you remember, we were out at World's Strongest Man a few years back, and what a nice guy. Man. I got him on the phone, and his English isn't the greatest. It's pretty good though, and I call him, and I'm like, he looks over at me. I'm wearing a Skiba's gym shirt. He's like, he kind of knew that shirt, and he walks over, and I was just like, I have a surprise for you. I call the phone, and he's just like, oh, Skeebs, how are you? That was one of the coolest moments. It was so
he
great.
Said, you are my brother. I love you.
Something like that. Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, man. I'm just some guy that just loves lifting, and it just the number of people that when I got to meet Will and stuff like that, when I find people that are intelligent and really know the lifting game and how to lift and help other people, I'm impressed, and I'll give them everything I got to help them move forward. And that's why guys like Will, when I brought him to Westside with me, because I believe that he should learn from the master. And Louie Simmons, loved when he came out there, because he was a beast. If he could have kept him there, he'd have locked him up.
I know. God rest his soul. Rest in peace, Louie. We all miss him. And I think that's a great segue into our next portion here.
Okay.
Skiba's gym obviously predominantly is known to be not just a powerlifting, but you also practice the Westside method.
Yeah.
Right? Geared lifting. Aurora, of course, but also geared lifting. How did Louie influence you over the years? Because you and Louie, I know he was a bit older than you, correct?
Yeah, about 10 years.
About 10 years. Yeah. But, when he was kind of coming up, you were coming up and all that stuff. So there's been a million stories, about Louie and what he's done, but you personally, what is one of the biggest takeaways you ever took from Louie and his methods and everything that you
let me tell you how he basically saved my life in the beginning. All right, when I went out one of the first times to see him, and I did some reading in his material, I was not saying jealous, but I told Louie, I said, listen, Lou, you and I have been doing this game for a long time. You're the only person I knew that could put everything into a template that a regular person can use. And it was absolutely phenomenal. But the thing that really saved me was, for 10 years, I was walking around on the floor all the time because my back was always beat up.
Okay.
Right? And when I went out there to go see Louie, Louie took me and he showed me his first reverse hyper, one of the first ones that we had. And make a story short, he says, Henri, if you use this, you'll healthy again. And he was right. And we've used it numerous times within the gym to make people come back. But I think the story with this shows Lou's kindness. I always like to get this one out there. Louie, when I went out there, I was just a teacher, just starting to teach, and I made very little money. And so I went out there, and I said, Louie, I love this. I'm going to buy this machine. In 3 months, when I get a couple paychecks, I'm going to buy it. So I go back to New Jersey, all psyched, saying, getting ready to do some of the stuff Louie taught me. 3 or 4 days later, a truck pulls up with a reverse hyper on it. And Louie, I called Louie. I said, Louie, I don't have a dime to pay. He says, Henri, you're a lifter. Pay me when you can. The kindness, everybody, we know him in the gym because he was horrible to me in the gym.
Oh, he's a total asshole.
Could I tell a quick story about that in the gym?
Sure.
All right. I'll never forget that Nick Mazon, hey, Nick, shout out to you, Big Daddy. We went out to Westside together because this kid had so much potential. I mean, he eventually went on to, deadlift 800, squat 800, bench 5 something. But when he went out there, they were really rough on us. Like, Louie was shorter than I, right? And when Louie was squatting, he actually used a higher box than I did. And then when I got a chance to squat, what happened? I got stuck on the bottom. I said, Lou, I can't get up. He says, find a way. And if he isn't damn well right, I found a way to get up, and it just taught me that, listen, man, whatever situation, you could always find a way. And that's the way he was. And also in the same workout, this is what happened, and I just love when I tell this story because it's absolutely true. I was actually doing a workout with him, and Louie said to me, he says, Henri, I have videos. I says, Lou, I have all your videos. He says, why don't you try watching them then? I wanted to run out of the gym and just kill myself. But I'll tell you something, no man alive can motivate you like he could, because when you were with him, you felt like you were God himself.
What happened when we were there? I'm
oh, yeah,
probably 320 or something. Yeah. He sticks me with this little kid, Dan, who couldn't have been 150 pounds soaking wet,
no.
making me do 8-inch deficit deadlifts. And the guy is just whooping me. And he did it on purpose. I know he did.
He does that. Yeah.
He was just like, I want this big old guy to feel like a little bitch, and I'm trying to lift it. And I'm doing it, but I don't think my lower back had ever been that sore than when I walked
remember
out of that
you
place.
doing that in there. I said, he had you doing like sets of 10 or something?
Oh, it was brutal. It was like sets of 8 or 10, and there was like 375 on the bar.
And the band.
Yeah, and I'm doing deficits. I'm literally, if this was the floor, I'm on a box this tall, but the barbell's on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm reaching underneath my toes to pick up.
Not to say anything, but Will over here is quite a big individual.
There's a lot of belly in the way.
Oh, let's not even talk about belly. Not in powerlifting. That's taboo.
That's okay. But yeah, what a brutal guy. But I love to hear stories like that. We all know Westside versus the World came out, and Eddie Cohen said a similar story when he was injured. All of a sudden, stuff showed up. And it's really great to see that people thought he was this, larger than life and brutal, in your face kind of. But from what I hear, he was always helping everyone behind the scenes.
Oh my God! In Columbus himself, he was a hero with everybody, man. I mean, I used to see him like when he would, just take care of kids that had nothing, and they all used to call him Uncle Louie. They used to come to Uncle Louie every day for ice cream, and some people used to question why, he'd always constantly do that. He says, they're kids. Give them a chance.
Yeah.
If somebody shows them some kindness, maybe, they're going to turn out
to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. We need more people like that in this world.
I can't even, like, this even when you talk about when Eddie Cohn was sick. I had something called insulinoma, which is a rare thing when your pancreas is all messed up.
Okay.
And what happened was when Louie found out, because I was an 8-hour operation, and I was really out of it for a little while, so you had to really open you up a little bit. And after that, all I know is that same day he called me up and sent me all the books, all the magazines. He says everything. He says, Henri, I want to see you on a platform again. I says, Lou, I give you my word. That is why right now I'm even thinking about, I can't wait to get on and fulfill my promise.
We definitely got to get you on there. 100%. We've been talking about it for years.
Well, it's unfortunate it's been years, but I also been like teaching everybody else now. See, nobody can really handle me yet. Now I have a couple of friends that can handle me.
Good.
Right?
Good.
And let me this just came to me real quick, and it's something I just really, really believe, and it's from a story almost like Louie, that one time I was squatting, I'm telling you, so I was squatting about, I think, 5 plates and 3 rubber bands. No, excuse me. 2 plates and 3 rubber bands on each side, which is a phenomenal amount of tension. And I'm coming out with the weight, and these 2 guys are in here behind me screwing around. So I just got real mad, yelled at them, and they backed off me. And all of a sudden a thought came to my head. I said, and listen to this word, the 25-cent word. I said, lifting is really a microcosm of life. And what it means by that is some people, it depends how you attack the problem. Like some people, they'll attack a problem and back off. Some people go lateral. Some people go sideways. Louie and what we're learning, we go head. We constantly moving forward.
Head on. Yeah.
Just like, and listen, another thing I'd like to throw out a book to you. One of the books that Louie used to love to read, and it was Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which is a wonderful book that talks about people that are actually, I guess it was I guess I forgot what they call it. It's like one of these flying birds that he teaches everybody else after he learns to extend themselves and learn and expect more of themselves. And I think that's what we should do. That's why all the time we constantly, as soon as we set a record, we're already looking to go move forward. That's why in Westside you don't see any trophies. Why? Because that's already to pass once you put a trophy there.
Yep.
Think about something in the future. Keep looking forward, because I'll tell you, we have no control over what the future is. So let's take advantage and let us take control of what we can.
I've said so many times, and sometimes I feel bad because I bring it up on this podcast all the time. Okay. But I think it's kind of my, at the moment, like life motto is that more people need to experience pushing themselves to an absolute limit. Because it changes you. Yeah. It really does. Like, I'll never forget that last powerlifting meet I did. And if you look at the videos, guys, check out on my Instagram. I'm squatting 8 something, and there's one person in the background, and it's this guy right here. And he's just like, up, yeah, screaming.
Because a lot of times us as a coach too, I know how hard he works. I know what it means to him. And I know the feeling he's going to get when he comes off, when the whole world seems to stand still and it's all good.
Oh, yeah. And I think more people just need to experience that, because when you learn to really put 100% of yourself into something, you're like, oh, this is what it takes. This is what it takes to be good in business, to be a good father, to be a good husband, to just be a good person. I really need to put every single ounce of my effort and move forward, rather than sitting and, like you just said, it's okay to enjoy your accomplishment. But after that 24 hours, week past, whatever it is, got to move forward. Got to keep pushing. Got to keep on the next thing, because, if we're not growing, we're dying, right?
Exactly. In backyard of my gym, somebody I got a poster off that says, don't pat yourself on the back. Listen, man, you start patting yourself on the back, you're done. All right? Second of all, one of the things is, remember Louie would never take a Lifetime Achievement Award. Why? Because a lot of times when people do that, it's almost like saying, okay, I'm done. Well, guess what?
That's right. He didn't. That's right.
He lived life on his terms, and he always kept moving forward. That guy was I'm telling you something, man, he was one tough sucker. I remember being out in the parking lot, and I was a lot younger, dragging a sled with him, and he purposely ground me into the ground. Just seeing smiling as he knew I couldn't keep up with him, because he knew he broke my spirit at that moment. I'm coming back to get more.
Isn't that the best, though? Because isn't it the best feeling when you are beaten down, and then all of a sudden you put the work in and you come back, and it's not a vendetta against the other person. Exactly, yeah. It's a vendetta against yourself, because you don't want to feel like that again, and you just want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and then all of a sudden you come back, and you ever, like, for example, as Skiba knows and a lot of the viewers know, I'm now into arm wrestling now. And,
Wow.
you know, the first time I got to the team, shout out to the high five, you know, I got destroyed, right?
Right.
And one of the...
As you should well be.
Oh, yeah, exactly, right?
You know,
I didn't know what I was doing.
We have to respect their strength and their knowledge.
But I remember one of the members of the team took a video of me, right? And that we're going to get into this whole Instagram world in a second.
Right.
But took a video like, oh, I destroyed this 378 pound, blah, 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 right? And I was just like, wow, you're really going to do that? But you keep it, right? You put it back in your pocket.
Right.
And you just start training and training. And I just remember, this probably wasn't the nicest thing to do, but I just remember I get to the table maybe 3 months later, and that same guy comes up, and I just grab him. And I'm like, okay, go. And I just looked at him and just bang. And I just said, maybe you should pay attention to who you put on Instagram, and maybe you should have a little more respect for the people around you. And was it a good feeling? Was it a little like I probably should have just, you know, let it be? But you know what? Sometimes you got to remind some of these people, you know?
Listen, we're all competitors.
Oh, yeah, you got to be competitive.
You know? Hey, if you weren't competitors, there'd only be...
Life would be boring.
Nobody would get married, you know?
Everything would just be a free-for-all. But so we both... You obviously come from the oldest culture of everyone got together, the bodybuilders, the power lifters, the strongmen, the Olympic lifters, everything. Everyone was a community. Men, women, children. It was all about just bettering yourself.
We used to call it Brothers of Iron.
Brothers of Iron. Brothers and Sisters of Iron. That's what it's all about.
That's why all the time when people talk about Arnold, and he might have did some good things in his time, you know, with physical fitness and stuff like that. But that attitude that he pushed into the bodybuilding community with all this like competition and nasty stuff and stuff like that, it took away like the camaraderie. Like I was telling Will before, you know, walking down the street even when you're younger, you know, you see somebody else as a lifter or bodybuilder, you actually give a little head nod. You know why? You're part of a community. You're part of a brotherhood. And then even in the gym, I mean, if it wasn't for that, the way we like to share and help other people, I mean, nobody would move forward. How many times when I was younger, when kids just brought me to the side, when some of the lifters brought me to the side and showed me what to do. Because, you know, you need to learn a little bit. And they challenged me and they made me stronger.
And it's a shame nowadays. You know, I see it here at Signature Fitness, and to all of our members, please, like, let's do better. You know, whether it's men or women, it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes I'll see people on the floor and I know they're doing something wrong.
Right.
And unfortunately, we're in a culture now where if I go up to that person and try to genuinely help them, if it's a dude, they're like, get out of here. You know what you're talking about. Or they just give me a dirty look. And if it's a female, sometimes they think that I'm just trying to advance on. And I'm genuine. I just want you to do better. Right. And I miss that because even 10 years ago, it was different. Yep. Compared to, you know, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. You know, we're getting caught up in this world of likes and satisfaction through social media where, you know, I love it. Ed Cohen says the best. You know, my records are in the record books forever. Nobody cares about what I did in the gym yesterday. Nobody cares about if I hit a double of my whatever. They care about when I step on the platform. And then on top of that, they care about, did I help people? Did I, you know, I think he said in one of his talks he did with Mark Bell, this was one of the best interviews.
Yeah, Eddie Cohen is a real deal, man.
You know what he said? He goes, if at the end of my life, when I'm sitting at my bed, if I can have 3 or 4 people around me that I know are my friends, I've accomplished. I've done the right thing. When I have people who I know that they truly love me and care about me, and we're losing this connection. You know, that's why, you know, people, you know, are like, do you still keep in contact with people all the time? I said, whenever I can, like, I know sometimes I can't answer the phone, but when Skiba calls me, it's one of the best parts of my day. I'm like, hey, what's up, Skis? How's it going? How's the gym? How's the wife? How's the new dog? All that stuff. See, that's what it's all about.
We never forget. You know, we were, you know, like when you train together and sweat together and we travel together, and like when I want him to see and share with Louie and stuff like that, I wanted him to get the experience before I knew people couldn't. And you know, he did, and he saw exactly from the greatest coach there ever is or was.
Yeah, and I feel so fortunate to be able to have the phone numbers and the connections with so many people. You know, I can call Skeebs whenever I have a question. I'm good friends still with my old coach Derek Poundstone from Strongman, you know, just all these amazing. I now know one of the best arm wrestlers in the world named Devin Larratt from Canada. I have his phone. So it's just like you get this book in your. You know, it used to obviously be a phone book, but now we have it on our phone. But I'm like, wow, how cool is it that I can say I can call these people and they know me by their name, and some of them even are like so close where I'm like, hey, I need a favor, and they're there for you. Yep. And I feel like if we can just create those connections, you know, through lifting, being brothers and sisters of iron, whether it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman, whatever it is, that's what we need back, you know?
See, I really respect some of the stuff you're saying, Will, because that is the missing factor here.
Yeah.
That's the X factor a lot of people are missing. And I just really wish they would, because, I mean, even, you know, sometimes I tease about CrossFit and stuff like that, but people get out there to put themselves in shape and get stronger, whatever. That's fantastic.
I'll tell you what about CrossFit too, though. Everyone loves to knock them.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, they have a community.
Oh, that's my whole thing.
That's the point.
They have the community.
They have the community. Yeah. We might not like the exercises and the programming and whatever they do, but I tell you what, even here at Signature Fitness, we started a CrossFit program.
Right.
The same people are taking the classes, and those same people are going out to dinner. Those same people are hanging out on the weekends. Those same people are calling each other. How was the workout? How was this? How was that? How often do you get that here anymore? Right. You know, I'm going to bring up actually, and this is a really sad truth. And if he ends up listening to this podcast, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I wish nothing but the best from him, but unfortunately, we had a falling out. You remember Andre that I used to train with?
Yeah, I remember Andre.
Right, Andre. That was a prime example at the time.
You took him under your wing and you helped him.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I mean, you made him into a beast. Now, of course, you give a lot of credit to himself.
Of course.
But I mean, what I'm saying is, Will spends that extra like me. Like this is not business. This is when you see him and he talks to you. He's talking to you like, listen to me.
Yeah.
Listen to me. You know, I'm not gonna use a bad word. Listen to me, because if you don't, you're just wasting your time.
Wasting your time. And I'll never forget some of those training sessions. You know, back at Skiba's, deadlifting in the back room, and it was just. Oh, it was grimy. It was electric, and you're looking over at him.
Hot. Was it hot or wintertime or cold time?
No, it was actually I think that was starting to get into November where we had the heater going.
Oh my god!
And but the steam coming off of our bodies, and we're just fucking killing. And we
had our shirts off. It was steam coming off your body. You know, deadlifting like a maniac, sweat coming off you, and then people looking at you like.
Now I'm getting the goosebumps,
yeah,
it's crazy, you know. And we're going back and forth, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I'm gonna kill this guy, and then, but at the end of the day, you know, didn't want anything but the best for him. And that was what made that powerlifting meet for me. Wasn't, you know, unfortunately, I didn't hit my 2K total, and he did, so he got me. But what got me was I remember we go to the meet. Shout out to RPS in Newark. They have one coming up in November, I think 11th. I'll be at.
They run the fantastic
great
meets, man.
And yeah, God rest his soul, Gene, right?
Yeah.
But so, you know, they have the list, right? Mm-hmm. And Steve, what did you tell me? Who's the dinosaur? The dinosaur's the last lifter,
that's right? That's why that's my moniker.
And I wanted to be the last lifter, and that SOB put in 5 pounds more than me on the openers for the squats, and I was just like, I looked at him like, I'm going to squat more than you. And he squatted 800 that day. I squatted 825 that day. You know, and all those little things.
Day, didn't you hurt your hand?
No, that was the previous one. That was the previous.
I'll tell you something. He really one time. Him even staying in the meet, well, that was balls.
Oh, man. I know. I
don't know what the hell you did.
I ended up. You know what it was? It was a hematoma from the knee wrap. It wasn't even my hamstring, but it felt, you know, like I had. But I'll never forget going back and forth with Andre, and the training sessions leading up to that, and the day of, and even though we were like, competing against each other, this is what the brothers and sisters in iron is all about. There's no sport in the world that I know of.
Right.
Even, you know, bodybuilding, when you're up at the stage, you want to beat everybody. You don't want them to do good. You know, football, sport, whatever it is. There's no sport like powerlifting where you get up, you do your lift, and even the guy that you're competing against will scream in your face to make sure that you do the lift as well, because he wants to beat the best person that day.
I see that so many times, especially when you're talking about women's powerlifting. And shout out to women's powerlifting, because I'll tell you something, man. They are after each other. They help each other. I've seen like with meets where people didn't have a belt. They gave them belts.
Singlets, everything.
Singlets, everything else. That is what the sport is all about. It really is.
And I'll never forget that. I wanted to beat him so bad, and I beat him in certain lifts. But no matter what, we were just, you know, even though the next one he went up, I was like, let's go, Andre, come on. You know what I mean? Just screaming for him. And it's such a great feeling, you know?
Yeah, it really is.
You know, you got those people in your corner and you're just, you know, that was one of my proudest moments.
People don't even know you. I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll never forget the feeling to the day I die when I opened up with 725 that day and I stand up and the whole crowd just jumped up and went nuts, and they were like, all I could hear is sandbag. I'm like, that was 25 pounds more than my last meet, and I opened up with it. I was like, I just happened to move it fast. And one of my proudest things was I remember that day, or a week prior or something like that. You gave me my Skiba shirt, and I wore it for that meet, which meant a lot to me, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I miss that. I miss the. Because we have our strength and conditioning center here, and he's not the camarade's not here anymore.
But listen, you were going to build it. This is my thing to you.
Yeah,
you continue up here. This is North Jersey, right? You build it. I want them to say, you know something, that Signature Fitness where I go. Because I tell you something, they got everything here. They got the best bars. It's not like those little places. At some places, I'm not going to give their names because they're not even worth mentioning them, right? You go there, the bars are crap. So you can't lift on them. You can't use them. Half of the time you're worrying about guys like him. He would, honest to God, bend some of the bars, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
the stuff they got here is just top shelf. I, in my little place, have garnered it after so many years of just buying a piece here, buying a piece there. That's why everything means so much to me.
Yeah.
And when you come here, this guy built it out of his own heart, that he saw different things. Like I know when he was putting it together, I need that. And, he went... to Warren and got the proper things. Shout out
to Warren.
Warren, shout out to you, man. You did a beautiful job. You got a beautiful guy running this place. I came in here. People were friendly. You should be proud. It's a great gym.
Yeah, shout out to Lois, our front desk. Lois is great. Love her. But that's what it's all about, right? I really hope we can rekindle that camaraderie in the powerlifting community.
Listen, maybe sometime, like I told you, I'm involved right now with 365 Strong, which is another group that comes from down south, and I'm going to it has a couple of different rules that are just a little bit different. Hopefully down the line, maybe we could run a meet together or something like that, because all these people need to do is see it. Second of all, maybe a couple series of seminars we do together.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Or even simple, like one of the things I'm really big with is running novice meets or teaching teenagers, because what we're doing is we're building a future. That's why we're building a future for teenagers. That's why when women come in here, they grab this sport and they run with it because they feel stronger. I have a group in my gym. It's called Women of Power.
Oh, very cool.
We do, I believe in empowering women and empowers them physically, mentally, and the whole 9 yards. And I really believe it does a good thing.
No, it definitely does. I mean, you remember Steph came with me and we started working out, and I'll never forget, she felt the strongest she ever felt when we were powerlifting. And we've been talking about, because we're trying to kind of get back into shape, and I said, maybe you should do a powerlifting meet again, or I think she will. She'll get on the platform soon. But
listen, she was, I always called her, she was the princess. She was just all attitude, just a wonderful lifter. She's positive. She busted her butt. I love when I see people that don't go fully into it. I mean, like she went into it 900%.
Oh yeah, 100%. So one thing I want to tap into.
Steph.
Love you, Steph. What I would love to talk about though, you have now seen, because you've been in it since the beginning,
right?
All of these, like you said, bars and advancements and all that type of stuff. What are some of the let me rephrase. What are some of the bars that have come and gone that you think have had some of the most interesting effects on the sport that maybe people might not even know about? Because I know you have some at your gym too. Some ones that never got into production, something that didn't get into circulation. If you want to mention any interesting names and some interesting products that came out over the years that maybe need to make a resurgence.
Well, I'm going to tell you two things I know right off the bat, and I want you to take a look at it, and Warren, you too. One of the things is a Mars bar. You have Mars bars here?
Oh yeah, we do. We do have a Mars bar.
Okay, because Mars bar by Zach Mars. When I showed it to Louie, I'm the one that got Westside to put it onto their site and use Louie. And Louie looked at it, used it, and he said, the guy's a genius. For years, he wanted to put something together like it. He took his concept and actually did it.
Yeah.
So, Zach, shout out to you. Shout out to you, Marta. Shout out to people getting involved with Mars Bar, because, like I said, I really believe in that.
Great bar.
Second of all, another thing is by Dynabody. It's a press machine. And it is just an incredible piece that allows people that can't use their feet to press.
Is it wait, are you talking about this, a leg machine or upper body?
Upper body.
Is it the standing bent? Great piece.
You have that?
I don't. So unfortunately, I tried to get one made.
No, I could get it for you.
It's never the same. I don't know. I'm just saying it's never the same when you try to get one made. But that is a great piece.
The reason I'm shouting out to that, because listen, I have a lot of women training with us, and they could just simply, we start them out using that piece, or even with guys, it allows it to work your bench press and your tricep, you know, at the same time. Those are different things that I really like. I also have another friend of mine, Josh, that created something called the hook bar.
Okay.
The hook bar is so innovative. We're still experimenting with it. And what it is simply a cambered bar that has several different attachments on it, so that you could use a myriad of different bands and weight releasers and, you know, whatever you want to add on to it.
Sure.
In order to make it just different. And that's another bar that I really, really think is great.
I think that's what I'm worried about, is because, you know, like I said, God rest his soul, Louie's, you know, not with us anymore. We need more innovators, and not just with the bars, but, you know, there might be some new programming that might be amazing that just someone hasn't come up with yet. And I really think we need to, you know, start pushing, you know, the sport in a new direction. As you know, records are being broken all the time.
Right.
And, you know, as we've mentioned on this podcast before, obviously we know that there's been massive advancements in sports science, you know, in terms of, you know, the drugs and the food, but the food, the rest and training and everything. But we have only scratched the surface in terms of, you know, training modalities and ways that we can, you know, adapt the body. And you know, Louie obviously was one of the people who realized that it was the Russians, right? Correct?
Yep.
That they were doing some amazing things. So for anybody listening who's ever thought about, you know, trying to create a program or something like that, I actually didn't realize, this is about 3 years ago when I was still doing the powerlifting. I was like, what if I rotate my this, that, whatever? And then I'm like, and someone like 6 months later is like, oh, you know, that's the cube method by Brandon Lilly. And I'm like, damn it, I thought I came up with something.
And he was in my gym. He was really cool.
Yeah, great dude. But I really hope people really keep pushing it. And not just with powerlifting, but with bodybuilding, with CrossFit, with everything. You know, we're only scratching the surface and the potential.
See, people recently have started to open up, like you're saying, like different modalities. Like, you know, the bands and chains. I'm going to preach to somebody. I want you guys to look up by John Brookfield. It's called Chain Reaction. And what they do is take the ropes and add it to another dimension. I use it with my SWAT team people and police force. And what basically you're doing with that is you basically do some of the same exercises you do with a rope, and it builds incredible forearm strength. These are different things that, you know, I'm just throwing out at you. Incredible forearm strength, core strength, and so forth. And it gives a cardio workout that's second to none.
So, and interestingly enough, I actually brought this up when I had Devin Larratt, the arm wrestler I mentioned. I had him on the podcast. One of the best arm wrestlers of all time, his name is Todd Hutchins, and I'm going to send him some videos of him talking. What's very interesting is what he did is he took Westside and applied it to arm wrestling.
Oh, I believe that, yeah.
And so he does, you know, 1 rep max training, all that stuff, you know, dynamic day, max effort day, all that stuff, right? He does, but for arm wrestling. It's really interesting to see that.
See, my whole thing that, you know, I discovered early is that, you know, there's basically 2 types of strength. We know different people in gym. Some people are grinders, some people are explosive.
Yes.
So when we train, why do we just affect one area? Learn and work at them both. And so what happens is you maximize your potential and you get a better lift because you're addressing both areas of strength.
And I'll never forget, you know, obviously we've talked a lot about Westside, but because they truly are one of the most influential, if not the most influential methods in gyms and being Louie people that ever graced all strength sports. Because, you know, people forget that he, you know, football, all basketball, baseball, track athletes, shot putters, fighters, everything, right? I'll never forget the first time I used at the gym the static dynamic developer.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, how could I forget that?
People, it is unfortunately, I think the biggest issue with it is just it's expensive.
Yeah, it's like 16 grand now.
Yeah, it's very expensive. But what a piece of equipment.
Explain what it does.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, so you have static strength, you know, if I'm just holding a dumbbell like this, right? And dynamic strength, moving it through, you know, with speed, right? What you can do is essentially you can train both at the same time, which is absolutely amazing. So I remember I'm at Skiba's and my deadlift has always been my weakness. So we took about I think it was, I want to say 50% of my max,
right?
Something along those lines. But
40, 50%.
You can do different percentages, and you pick your sticking point. So for me, my sticking point is always right below my knee. And what it teaches you is it teaches you to strain against an immovable force, because with the whole rack and everything, you're not going to lift 2,500 pounds. It's just impossible. But then Skiba would be there with a trigger, and when he pulls that trigger, the weight releases. So now you've learned to incorporate every muscle fiber, every ounce of your energy against an immovable force. But when that trigger is hit, you're now lifting, let's say, 50% of your max, and you're moving through that motion. When I say it's a game changer.
Yeah, it really is. And especially when you do that, it's amazing how it simply, you really are toasted when you're done with that.
You're toasted, but you never moved a weight so fast in your life. Yep. Let's say my max is 800 and I'm pulling 400. I don't care how hard you try, you'll never pull 400 faster than when you're working on that machine. Because you cannot physically incorporate as many muscle fibers as you can when it's immovable.
That was Louie's baby. That was
genius.
It was pure genius. And whenever we use it in the gym, I'm amazed by it, because it does essentially what true strength is. True strength is ability to incorporate as many muscle fibers firing at once as you can.
Yep.
So what happens is almost like when you're starting to tug on it, the body automatically tries to incorporate bring other muscles in to move it, then bam, and let it go. So what happens is you're teaching your body to strain and then explode. And what it does, it pushes past your inhibitor mechanisms that basically make all the difference. He learned that right off the bat. I can't wait to get you on that again.
Oh, I definitely got to.
Brutally
but think about it. So
squat, we'll get you a squat 9. Heck with the 8.
Think about this, right? Everyone knows the stories about when someone, grandparents, they're in their 80s or whatever, something like that, and the husband's working under the car falls, and the grandmother picks up the car because she, in that exact moment, her body dumps all the adrenaline, all those inhibitors are gone, and she uses every single muscle fiber. Now, she probably injures herself, probably tears some muscles and whatever, but she saved the person's life. But what we're doing, essentially, and as Henri is saying, is we're pushing that boundary for you to utilize all of those. You'll never use all of them, but instead of, I believe we use, most people only use a third, roughly, throughout their day-to-day life. You can train to use up to 2/3 of your muscle fibers at once. Using that last third is next to impossible, because, like I said, you'll be ripping muscle from bone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Just to make a comparison to you, because Will is really into the arm wrestling thing. What happens, you notice, you ever see with some arm wrestlers when they're arm wrestling, and all of a sudden their arm actually goes limp. Because what happens is the body shutting off it says it's going to get injured, so it shuts down in order for it doesn't explode.
Exactly.
What you're doing, I'll tell you something, we can learn to use a machine like that even for that type of use. You're talking about making a phenomenally strong athlete.
Exactly.
Squats, benches, deadlifts.
I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible piece. So there's so much untapped potential, and that's what I'm getting at here in all strength sports, in all sports in general. With machines like that, with methods, and we really people gotta start thinking like, guys, it's not just the food, the sleep, and the drugs. There's so much more that we can do.
I also hope that one day, and I wouldn't be surprised you got it, because I'm going to find a way to finagle it. It's a flywheel that comes from Switzerland.
Okay.
And what it is?
Oh, is it the where you pull up and it pulls you back down type thing? Yeah, it's a great piece.
You don't have it, do you?
No, I don't have it. But you know who also makes it? Kabuki, I believe, makes it now.
Yeah, they make a
similar version. And I heard it's really good. I heard it's a pretty good piece. And it's not like a crazy amount of money. I think it's like maybe $1,000 or something like that. So it's nothing.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
But yeah, that's very interesting too, because you're working both your eccentric and concentric.
I remember when I was there with Dave Hoff, he liked it. So I mean, like,
ooh, what a name drop.
Yo, man, you're talking about a brutally strong man.
There's so many out there.
Squat, bench, deadlift. Whenever you go to Westside, you just shake your head, and you can't believe there's animals out there like that.
It's absolutely crazy. Now, Steve, I have a couple more questions for you before we wrap up today. So
I'll tell you, I had a great time, guys.
Thank you for coming. We love it, and you'll definitely come on again. I'm sure. Everyone here listen to the SignatureCAST. This is what we're all about. We're about community growing and just bodybuilding business and everything in between. And this is one of those in betweens. We're talking about powerlifting. We're talking about life. But so about your life, I know you have beautiful grandkids, a wife that loves you and all that stuff. What would you say is one of your greatest achievements that you've achieved in your let's just say what 45, right? 45, 50, you know, something like that.
64, yeah. Listen, I don't know. I just think my kids are my greatest achievement.
Yeah.
I know with lifting and stuff like that, but I've always learned, I mean, like, it's the people who are standing behind you, it's the people that matter.
Yeah.
Not the bar, nothing else, because my wife, I don't want to get into that, because everybody knows Mrs. Skiba, they call her St. Ellen, because she's the most amazing woman. She stuck with me for all these years. We're married 42, going together for 49, and she's always been behind me, whatever it takes. So like, for example, you talk about that static dynamic machine. When it came out, I said, Elle, I really could use it, really helped me. And so what she do, she gave us our income tax check, and we went and bought it.
Wow.
I mean, like, all the time in the gym, she understands that this is not like, this is just pure passion. I'm going to do this, and if I went down like Nitro did in the gym, I don't really care. Because as you noticed, on all the signatures, or actually all the logo for Westside Barbell is American Bulldog, Nitro. And his reason he was included because Louie said he, died like a lifter should die. He died right in the gym. And so, listen, man, I'm going to keep on going, keep on banging. I love what I do. I'm in better shape. I have guys like Will to keep coming and calling me and says, Henri, I want to see you on a platform.
That's it.
Or, whatever, because I also want to see him too. He has just so much damn.
I don't care if you bench squat and deadlift 135. I want to see you on. I mean, we're going to do a lot more of that with you, Steve, but I want to see you on that platform. Yeah. No, I haven't. It's hard for me to say because I know the thing is I know how much pain I'm going to have to put myself through to get back to
track or stuff like that.
What do you mean?
Did you?
I threw shot put when I was in high school.
Or hammer.
I was.
Come on, your body's like.
Oh, I know. I could be good at a lot of things, but the thing is I always said I would get my 2K total and I'd hang up my hat. And that day I was so freaking close. And so part of me really, really, really wants to get that back. I think I will. When I'm not sure. It's nice. The thing that arm wrestling is nice is my back doesn't hurt ever. I'm not really in pain. When we're at our peak, we're probably in our most painful state.
Oh yeah.
Everything hurts, the bone, the elbows, the back, the knees, whatever. And it takes a lot to put yourself through that. But I'll make my way back. I'll show these. I can say young cats now. I'm almost 30.
Like in the gym all the time. I'm not going to say it in a bad way. I say it. But all the time in the gym, I challenge the young guys in this gym. I say, I'm going to kick your ass every time I'm in here.
Yep.
I may not beat him, but I'm going to give him every single breath that I got to try and beat him.
Yeah.
And that's what Louie did. That's what good lifters do. Don't leave it in the background. Put it on the floor. Pick it off the floor. Just keep lifting.
Just keep lifting. That's what it's all about. I think we're gonna end it right there, Skeeps. What a perfect way. Just keep lifting, just keep pushing, and never give up. Always be growing.
I love you, my brother.
Love you too, Skeebs. Guys, that's another episode of the SignatureCAST where we talk bodybuilding, business, and everything in between. I'm wrapping up here with Henri Skiba of Skiba's Gym. Check it out in Carteret, New Jersey. And if you're in the area, come down to Signature Fitness, Bellevue, New Jersey, 471 Cortlandt Street. That's what it's all about. Peace. Skeeps, thanks so much.
Appreciate
it, brother.
Thank you, my brother.